And we're live on YouTube. Welcome to this first of hopefully many, we'll see how it goes, of Techy Twilight Tuesdays, which is often difficult to say with me, Eric Yates. I've been in the press teacher in a while. I was a teacher for a number of years, teaching IT, and spent the last 20 years working in the training consultancy business, mainly around behaviour management and various other bits and pieces. And a few of my colleagues a few years ago were always interested in promoting online, but more so with this pandemic and lockdown, it seems that everybody is now delivering online. Having said that, with a recent notification from Boris yesterday, Mr. Johnson, of course, who said that the schools are going back on the 8th of March. Now, whether or not we have another lockdown on us remains to be seen. So this idea of putting this channel together was really to support teachers and educators. So I guess it'll still go on for some time, delivering online learning using a range of different software, whether it be Teams, Google Hangout, or Zoom, and just to kind of demonstrate a little bit what's possible using various software to make the lessons a bit more engaging. So it's going to be quite an informal session. And if you've got any questions or points, whether you're watching this live or later on a catch-up, post your questions and comments, because the idea behind this video and this session is to look at what questions and comments people have, or particularly issues around tech when it comes to online learning. Post them in comments. If you post it live, we'll put them up on screen. If you watch it later on, we'll check in with the comments and we'll produce little videos which will go on the channel. And we've already got 2 videos on there at the moment, both around using OBS, which is Open Broadcaster software. Now, the little set I've got here, I mean, again, we're looking at some of the tech you need, and it doesn't create a great deal of money to set up a bit of a system. The system I've got is probably a little bit more complicated than most need. We'll flick between cameras. We've got an awful lot going on here. I tend to run on a Mac-based system. So all the hard work has been done by this Apple Mac. And later on we may show you how you can use an iPad with the whole system, and this is then linking to a big monitor we've got here. Some wonderful little gadgets which we'll cover during this session, should you be interested in, are also other things like a screen deck, which is this little device here, which allows you to quickly flick between screens. I haven't programmed in many on this particular session, but it's a great little bit of kit. Good sound is always a must. We'll have a look at a few little options, and one of the ones I would certainly advise is something like the Blue Yeti, which we've got here. And the Blue Yeti was about, I think it's about between £99 to £120. I've put links down below to Amazon, which you can get hold of. And the wonderful thing about this microphone is it can do, simply if you just angle it out, you've got a front. So if I turn it around, you've actually got just a front view. Sound might go off a little bit here. You've got back and front, or you've got surround sound. And you do get a nice, deep, wonderful sound. Downside is, on here, on the table, you will get some interference if you're doing that. Now, we're going to have a look at how cheaply you can make this stuff. And over here, I've got a PC, which is linking to a PowerPoint, which I'll show you. PowerPoint and OBS run the PC, should that be you. So if you're watching this live, any questions or comments, stick them in the comments below, or just simply say hi, and we'll get on with the show. So first of all, we're going to look at OBS. Now, what is OBS? Now, I'm currently using a different software, which we'll have a look at a little bit later on, called Ecamm, which is specifically for the Mac or Apple software, Apple machines. If you're using PCs, most people are, then it's very much, I guess, OBS would be the cheaper option, as in it's completely free, which is always a bonus. So we're going to flick across to the PC, which is over here, using the screen deck, and here we are. And OBS, as I said earlier on, is a completely free bit of software. I'm just going to show you the whole OBS on here, and we'll go into stream mode. So as I haven't downloaded, you'll see the link down below, and the link down below, you can simply go to OBS Studio and download it free of charge. In terms of the reason, well, why would you bother using OBS? Well, the benefit is you can get this kind of setup here where you could be running a PowerPoint behind you. You've got yourself on screen interacting with your students. It's just a far better setup. It just keeps that far more engagement and allows you to have a little bit of animation and stuff beyond just simply doing sharing screens. It's less clunky too, because what you can do is flick between screens that you pre-set up. So if you've got a screen with a PowerPoint presentation behind you, if you've got a screen with a website behind you, or you want to show a video, you can import a video straight into that. It just makes the whole thing a lot cleaner for your students, and you will find that straight away. And whether you're doing commercial presentations too, because bear in mind this is not just purely for teachers but educators and also corporate people who may be wanting to just produce that slightly better option through Teams and Zoom, which most people are using at the moment, or whether you're going to stream straight live to YouTube and set up your own YouTube channel, which gives you plenty of options of scope. As I say, this bit of software completely downloadable for free, which means you don't have to cost an awful lot of money. So if you click on OBS, let me just try and go into OBS for clickable browser window. Here we are with the browser window behind us, and we'll simply put in OBS. If you Google OBS, it'll come up straight away, and there we have it. Okay, thank you for downloading. I already have here, so I click on Home, and here we are. We've got a couple of versions. We've got the Windows version and the Mac version, or even Linux if you happen to be using that system. Simply click on that, download the version you want, and I've already installed it obviously, but then install it. Once it's installed, you're going to get a basic setup. So let's go back to a clean setup where we're simply here. We've got these scenes we can add in. Now if you look at this scene here, I'm currently using a green screen, so it's working to a certain extent. If I want to modify the slide, and it might be easier again to start off doing something like not in studio mode, and that's exactly what the output would be on that screen here. This particular camera here, if I click across to this camera here is absolutely, you'll see the link down below. It's a 2K camera, which is what I'm using at the moment. It's a reasonably good image, and that's around under £20 for a camera like that, which will say it's got a reason. I mean, obviously you need a little bit of decent light to get a best signal, but you're talking £20 purely for to get you up and running with a webcam. Some of the cameras on the laptops tend to be a bit grainy and don't work terribly well with a green screen, and I would certainly advise if you're going to be doing any kind of stuff like this, then you need a bit of a green screen to do that with, but you're looking at 20 quid. So if I flick back to the PC screen, you can see it's not a bad image at all really for the price of what you're getting. So we'll click on the PC screen again over here. That image just above my head here, point the right direction, is the image you get from the camera. So you can see there it works reasonably well with a green screen. Let me make a few little adjustments over here and hold down Alt on here and just drag that across and just move the camera slightly. In fact, let's move it that direction. So you can see with the green screen, that's not a bad image at all. If you're just going to do some basic streaming via Zoom and Teams and Google Hangouts, because remember that Google Teams and Google Hangouts and all the other software will crib down your bandwidth, so therefore the quality image is not as great as it would be anyway. Okay, so let's go back to, let's start with a basic scene right down with OBS. So let's get rid of these scenes. And I'm looking across at the PC across here, so you can see that every now and again, if you're doing online presenting, it's important that you connect with your camera from time to time. So look right down the lens, because that keeps the engagement too. So we'll just get a shot of these two scenes. Yes, I want to delete that. And yes, I want to delete. Okay, we need at least one scene. So okay. So let's go through setting up a scene, how easy this is, and the things we want in. And in fact, this is the same presentation that I used on the video. So check out the video on the website or the YouTube channel, and you will see how to set the scene up. So let's just delete everything all together. And we'll just say this one is now scene 2. Let me move me out the way so you can actually see a better view of what I'm talking about. Okay, so we've got a basic OBS here. Different modes here. Studio mode means that this screen on this side is the preview window, which means you can set the scenes up, move things around, and until you actually transition across, your audience won't see it unless it goes across and transitions. So let's add a few items in this scene. Well, first of all, we're going to need a video capture. So once you install your video camera, we'll put on here video capture device, and we'll click OK, and then we'll find the camera. You can see here there's my green screen, and I'd strongly advise if you're going to do this a green screen. I've got some links below behind this one. It retails about £130, but what I love about it is it's basically you can fold it and fold it down. It's an absolutely wonderful. If you're limited space, you can use it right behind your chair and just roll it up and pack it away should you need to. Okay, so click on webcam here. We'll go for default type, everything, will just leave it as normal and press OK. So we've now got our screen. Now, on the video I showed you previously, obviously this camera is set to an angle, but if I was going to move the screen about a bit so you can see it and move this around here, then we're going to obviously do some little modifications from here. If you wanted to modify these windows, you simply hold down Alt and drag these, what I call, our technical term is nodes, to the size you want. And away you go. So there's your nodes, and you can drag that to it. And obviously if I was sat square under this particular camera and over here, and remember this is £20 for this camera. You can't really kind of beat that for the kind of quality you're going to get. Once we're in position, we simply translate across, and that's what people would see via OBS, Teams, or Google Hangouts. And again, if you've got any questions, feel free to put them in the comments below, and we'll answer them as we go through. One question I did have was around getting desktop audio. Now, you tend to find OBS on a PC version now already has the desktop audio in it. But if you've got some issues with the desktop audio, it's not working, we've got a couple of workarounds, especially for the Mac, which doesn't seem to do that. So we'll have a look at that a little bit later on. Okay, so we've got basic transition. If you have a green screen, then we might as well use it. If you right hand click on your camera, and all you're going to do now is add in a filter. So we obviously need to add in a filter effect. Let me just drag that down so I can get to the bottom of the screen, and we click plus, and we add in a thing called a chroma key. And you click OK, and bush, there's the chroma key applied already. Mess around with it a little bit just to get the looking as much as you can, so you don't get much of a bleed. And it seems to be clean enough for what we want. Note, as I'm moving around a bit, it's getting a little bit issue. But my light is over here on this side, on that side, over there. I have got another studio light here, but I haven't applied at the moment. You're going to probably need some studio lights, and I've put some links down below to the ones that I recommend. You'll see the soft studio lights. There's the ones I use. I think they're around about £70, but it's well worth that. And there's some LED ones there as well. Now, once we've done that, we're simply then going to click and add in. Now, if you're going to start using something like a PowerPoint and any form of PowerPoint with this, let's see if I've got a demo. I think this was a demo I put together. Let's see this one here, which is the demo we did on the video. Right, so I'm just going to use this one for now. Let's play this. Now, I haven't got a set of dual screen, so we're just going to play it as a slideshow behind us like so. And there we go. There's a slideshow right behind us. Now, what we need to do now is to put that behind us. I'm just going to move things around on the screen so you can see both windows and see what's happening here. So I'll just move this around, make it a bit smaller. This is why I think it's probably best to just have it in not the studio mode so you can see what you get. And then you've got your PowerPoint window behind it. If you're using dual screen, which most people will have in their classrooms, you'll have your PC and then you have your whiteboard as a dual screen. You can actually put your whiteboard monitor on there too. Okay, so once this PowerPoint window is open now, all we simply do is we add to the scene a window capture. And we'll click on window capture. We could call it PowerPoint, should you be interested. So we put PowerPoint on here so we can find it later on, click on that, and already it's found the PowerPoint slide, bush, and there we go. Now we can drag that out. I tend to drag it to the sides because then you get a nice clean image, move it to where we want, and there we just move it up a little bit till we get it to where we need it to be. A bit tricky, but you get the idea. Let's move a little bit bigger, so I think. There we go. Now on the brief you will see on the YouTube channel, we talked a little bit about how to set the PowerPoint up so that it all works. Now, note I've disappeared. That's because, like anything else, these are layered images. So simply drag that below, and there I appear again. Transition across, and that's what people would see on the website. Now, imagine that if you're doing online learning or even showing your students, you're sat on the classroom, you've got a camera aimed at you, you've got your whiteboard behind you, so your students can not only see the whiteboard, but they can see you a bit like a weather person delivering straight on directly on the camera. So you could have, if again, if space being allowed, be stood up. And I guess if you're doing it from home, which most people were, green screen works, but you could have it as it's a small window with the classroom. So if I took that chroma key out, this could be the classroom here. You stood up, you got a little window, people can see you and they can see the whiteboard. It just makes for a slightly better option. Now, in order to control the PowerPoint, we simply move through, and again, we're then clicking through the PowerPoint, and we're seeing the PowerPoint live on the screen. Obviously, you're seeing that through screens, so the whole screen, but we could have it whole screen, and I'll show you that running later on when I stick it on the background of this slide. So you've got that there running there. Should you want other windows, you can have websites and browsers and so on. Now, in terms of setting video cameras up and microphones, like I say, it doesn't cost an awful lot of money to get something set up and running fairly quickly. I mean, if you want something really, if I go across to this camera, you want something really cheap as chips, and you're looking at something like a condenser mic like this, which comes with a little stand, and the quality's not bad. I'll certainly maybe stick this into the record later on. The quality's not bad. You're looking at under 20 quid, £17 for this. So it comes with, let me just open that up. Let's flick across to document cam. And again, the presentation we're doing here, all this is possible when you get a little bit of gear set up. If you've got multiple cameras, you can flick between multiple cameras. So what you get for your money, for your $17.99 or whatever it is you get your little condenser microphone, which is here. And we'll maybe plug this in so you can actually sample the sound on this one. Little condenser. You can get a little stand with it, should you need it. And what I like about this also, included in the pack, is you plug that into your PC, and then you can actually have some headphones out also. So you can actually put the headphones out, so you can get the headphone feedback suit, right? So if you're putting that in here, you plug your microphone into the red section. So there's your microphone in. Oof, there you go. And there's the headphones out, which means that once you start to install virtual cables, which I'll talk about in a moment, it means that you won't get any feedback through your speakers, because if you're doing things live and I've got things playing through the speakers, bits of music, bits of video, bits of whatever off on the desktop, you will find it can interfere with your live stream, because you get feedback and you get the reverberation echo, which is what you want. So if I was plugging that into the Mac in here, we can plug that into the Mac there, coming back, but I may have to then add another microphone in, so that then becomes the dominant microphone that you start using. But what I love about that is, let's simply £20, and the link is down below, on Amazon. You get a nice little stand that goes with it, and you could be set up with the camera over here. This one, let me just move it around so you can see it. This camera here for 20 quid. So you don't have to go as expensive as here. This is around about 130 quid, but the sound quality is very good. So £20 for a little video camera, and £20 for a little microphone, which allows you to use headphones too, and you're ready up for your live stream or your recording. I'll do a little video or a little audio test with these and post it on the YouTube channel, so you can actually hear the sound. When I get a moment, I'll put those up for you. So we're not talking about massive amounts of money here. We're talking fairly cheap, fairly cheerful, if you're just starting out looking at getting something that's going to start you getting off recording and so on. But again, most people now have got cameras and microphones. If you're doing it from a classroom, you may even get a headphone and wireless mic setup, should you want to get slightly more adventurous. But for £20, you can't really go wrong for something like this. And I use that as a spare mic when I've got someone in the studio doing interviews. I set that little microphone up. So they've got a microphone, I've got a microphone, and we use it for live interviews. So we're not talking huge amounts of money. Yeah. If you want to go more upgrade, then I would certainly say if you want a better quality camera, you've got this camera I'm using here, which is nothing more than the Logitech. Get a really nice crisp image with the Logitech C9022 or C922 Pro. Retails, I think at the moment, have dropped in price. During the first pandemic, they were actually silly prices due to the fact that people were all clamoring to get online and clamoring to do online productions, but the prices really come right down again to around about 90 quid. And for 120, 180p rather, camera, incredibly cheap and incredibly versatile. What I like about this one, I tend to use this one as a bit of a document cam. So if you're doing a presentation, and let's say for sake of argument, you've got something that you want to view on the screen. For example, I've got this little document cam here. I can point that down to the documentation. I can show the screen and what keys I'm pressing. You can have some written notes if you're doing written notes. And you could have it with the software, and I'll show you Ecamm in a moment. The software, we could actually add two cameras at the same time. So I click across this card and the document cam. There it could be doing something on the lines of showing the keyboard strokes and showing what I'm doing on the desk at the same time presenting to the audience. So that's really good versatility. And as a camera, it's a good little camera to show what's going on. For example, I want to show keystrokes and show what I'm doing, or doing unpacking of a microphone, camera, or whatever, as you're doing a proper little live show and stream on your channel or via Zooms or Teams. And we'll have a look at how we connect these to Zooms or Teams in a moment, or Google Hangouts. All the same process when you start using a virtual cam. But again, any questions, any comments, pop them in the comments, and we'll have a look at those questions as they come through. So where we're going with this now. So again, this Logitech camera, which we'll show over here, so you can see the camera looking back at me, which is always interesting. You'll see the link down below. It's 90 quid. Slightly more better quality than the one over here, a £20 camera, but you're talking next to on all the links are down below. Should you want to go upgrade a little bit, then I would certainly think, I mean, you're into DSLR cameras with what need to be a clean output, and that's where we're getting this camera here with a really good feed, and you get wonderful blurred backgrounds and so on and so forth, but you need a proper DSLR for that, and you get a nice clean feed, and your members need a capture camera. So it gives you a little idea of the potential opportunities to make those live shows a little bit more exciting. Now, if you want to really go up market, you got a thing called a screen deck, and this one here allows you to flick between screens at a push of a button. So if you're doing a live show, you can flick your logo. You could be chatting away, blah 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 blah. Let's just take and flick across the logo, and then back to the camera. It just gives a nice little interlude, and it allows you to do everything at a touch of a button. But these aren't cheap. These aren't cheap at all. You're looking ideally at for this one, which is a 32 button one. I'm going to be careful to say here, because if the missus ends up watching this, I told her this wasn't expensive, but actually, in fact, you're looking at about £230. Again, links are down below in the description. But you can get one which is a smaller versions. You get the main one. This is the extra large. You'll get the ones from around about £80 up over to about 140. But it certainly is a piece of kit. You can actually stick in sounds. You can program it. You can do an awful lot with it, but it means that you make that little bit extra live show that bit special, because you can simply flick between screens almost seamlessly. Yeah. Now the program I'm using for this live stream isn't OBS. It's very similar, but again, it's you know, you get what you pay for. The piece of software I'm using is purely for those that use Macs, and it's called Ecamm. So if I click into demo mode, just so you can see what I've got. So let's turn on live demo mode, and what you can see now is my screen and what I've got going on. And the thing about Ecamm, what I like it particularly, is you've got all these wonderful little bits of windows with your screens, with your sounds, your comments and your live stream all visible at a touch of a button, and we can flick between cameras. And on later shows we'll show you again how to maybe use things like even your iPad, where in fact we get a chance to do it today if people are interested. How you can use your iPad is an overlay and actually right on the screen, so you could share this one too. In fact, I might cover that just in a short while because it's a really nice little addition. I've got a lot of friends who are maths teachers and love the fact that you can stick your iPad on the screen, do all your calculations and all your drawing, and share that too in a separate window. So it becomes a really useful little bit of kit. Yeah, and we'll show how to do that using OBS and this. For example, if you wanted to have picture within picture with this bit of software, it becomes really, because there's me on the screen, and I'm obviously using my green screen. I can move me around to where I want me to be on the screen. Then I can actually put over here a screen, and you can do that the same on OBS, and we'll cover these in later videos if you're interested, on how you have you almost like a weather presenter doing this. You've got your screen, you've got to make sure you point in the right direction. You've got your screen over here, and this is actually the screen from the PC. So if I flick between cameras, so you can see what I'm looking at. Close this one down, so look at this, close this one down here. So the screen you can see here, this camera, this is coming through a video feed and through a USB port, and everything that happens on this PC, you can then see on the screen. So I can be working away on my PowerPoint on this screen, and I can feed it through here. So if I go back to the little screen, whatever happens on this screen here will appear in this little window. But it could be a video, it could be a little animation, it could be a separate file, it could be whatever you want. And you can do the same with Ecamm, although I prefer Ecamm. And if you want to look at Ecamm, if you're a Mac user, again, there's a link below for a free trial. You get a 7-day trial. I would highly recommend it. It's well worth having a little bit of play with. And this is the Pro version, which allows you interviews, etc., etc. So you've got an awful lot going here. It's a nice little bit of kit. So let's try a few little things we can do in terms of adding things in here. So we'll just add in, like for the sake of argument, we want a static image. So I can click on here and add a static image onto this page too. So let's click on here. We'll get an image. Let's take this booklet here, and you can drag that and put that on the screen too and move it around, and you can do exactly the same thing with OBS. The beauty with OBS is you could drag it into the scene window first and simply make it pop up and disappear. So if we get rid of that other screen here, I'm talking away. I'm going to then click on this button here, talk about this particular book, and we're going to have a chat around the book, and it could be floating around mid-air as we're doing this demonstration. Now, one of the questions I did get, again, was from a science teacher. Said, okay, he's having trouble outputting the audio from his desktop through to OBS or Teams. Let's start with a Zoom meeting now, and we'll show you how this thing works. On OBS and on Ecamm, you're literally going to find that you've got to output your audio. I certainly output the camera first through a virtual cam. Okay, so if I open up OBS, we'll show you how that works on this particular setting. Let's flick up OBS here, and let's see, we've got OBS on the screen. So what I need to do now is to show you OBS. So if I just stop doing live demo load for a moment, finish off live demo mode. So we're back into the real world. Okay, now, and let's flick into OBS on the other screen on the PC. So when you're in OBS, I'm just going to close that PowerPoint down. And we're in OBS on the PC here. It works exactly the same on the Mac. Yeah, let's get rid of this here. So as I say, wonderful thing is you set it up on your screen here, and obviously you can see me half a screen because I'm using this camera. Let me just move that across a bit. So you've got the camera here. If I flick across over here, so you can see what's going on. Now, if I want to output a new OBS version, you've got this thing called virtual camera, which is so easy to set away. You simply click virtual camera. And I will then flick through Teams or Zoom. Let me see if I can find Zoom on here. Have we got Zoom on here? Don't often use PC now. I'm very much a Mac man. We don't use PCs at all. Here's our Zoom here. Let's flick on to Zoom. Let's go away. Join the meeting and sign in. Right, we need a username and password for that, which I haven't got on this PC at the moment. Okay, let's flick back to my Mac. That's something I'm not set up for. Let's go back to the Mac and we'll show you over here. We'll show you the setup on this one. So if I click on open a window, and flick on to, let's have a quick look. I've got here, I'm going to open OBS, so you can see OBS on this machine. Hold on 2 seconds, let's get OBS up. Let's flick onto the screen or OBS. Now you can see OBS on the screen. Here we go. Right, now. So now you can see me on this version of OBS. Let's move things around so I can get a clean view and show you what's going on. Let's move that out of the way and that out of the way. So here we are on OBS, and I'll just drag it around so you can see what's going on. I'll just move some of these overlays out of the way so we can show you. Now, at the moment I've got me audio capture, a DSLR and a PowerPoint, which I haven't got running at the minute, but you get the idea. Alright, so once we install the virtual camera, from here, here's the virtual camera running, and we're just going to studio mode just to make it easier for this. Anything that appears in this window here will appear on studio mode. Let me just show you exactly what I mean. So I'm going to open up Zoom, and here we are on Zoom, because on the Mac we've got it all set up with the password already installed. Here we go, Zoom we are, so let's join a meeting. Let's start a new meeting. Let's just connect at the moment. Right, here we are in Zoom. Right, now, all you have to do now is you've got a couple of, this is the virtual camera from OBS. And we're going to start the video. So what you'll see on the screen, let me just flip back to Ecamm and get rid of this thing for you, so I'm not on the screen anymore. Let me just get rid of that, so you can see what's going on. Nice and clean image. And we'll just move that out the way. Right. So we're currently, you can see OBS now. There's OBS. So anything that's actually running on here on OBS is currently running into Zoom or Teams. So this is the Zoom meeting right now, me zipping about on the window. Okay, so let's go back to OBS. So let me just pull up OBS. Here we are. It's nice to have dual screen, but anything I put on here, whether I put in overlays or anything else, will appear. So if I wanted to output my audio, you need a couple of little bits of software. And I've put the links down below. One is virtual camera. So I'm going to click this one here, output, and delete that because I'm not using that at the moment. So I'll get you on that. Okay, and you need a couple of bits of software because anything will output OBS as a virtual camera, but it won't put any sound out other than your microphone. So the microphone at the moment is output. But if I want the whole thing to output in terms of sound from the PC, then we need a little bit of software, as I said. So the software you need is a thing called the virtual cam, or a virtual cable rather, a virtual cable, right? And just to show you the website in particular of what that is, you simply look and search for, if I flick between the screens, let me just do this for a second. you simply look for this AB audio, and again the links are down below. Download this, the AB audio with a PC or Mac, so you'll need it for the Mac anyway, and that will be then installed onto your PC. Right, then what you can do is then actually add your output to that. Okay, so if you then click on here, add audio capture, and click OK, and we're looking for, at the moment I've got Black Hole on this one, which is a Mac version, and again I'll put links to that on the description below. Put in Black Hole, and so anything that happens now, audio capture, will be Black Hole. So if I'm doing sounds on the PC, playing music or whatever, just a little share here, we'll play a little bit of music. We'll do a little bit of, a bit of AC/DC, I think. It's saying it's not working, but there you go. I'll play a little bit of AC/DC, and that's now right. So I'll go to, for a second, because you won't be hear that. If I go to Zoom on the microphone, I want to put it as the 16-inch here. So in the microphone here, 16, which is that here. So anything playing on here is coming out into the Zoom. So you can see on Zoom, I can be playing away here. And that then the audience. So they will get a bit of ACD behind. I will be doing a really clear video, because when you're doing the live, you're flicking around from one thing to the other. And I'll do a really clean video sometime soon, so you can actually see that. So let me just flick onto here so you can see me again, on how to use both Black Hole, which is the link below if you're on a Mac, and also download Virtual Cable for the Mac too. But if you're on the PC, then you need VB cable. If you do a little click on the link below, you'll get VB cable. That allows you to install it as an audio capture and then output that to an output device. So anything that's then playing on your PC or mics will be fed through by well-produced little video and stick on the channel showing exactly how you do that. So that was the question from my science teacher friend, who said, how do I get, nearly use an expletive, how do I get OBS to work with my audio on the PC? You might find, if you're down on the PC, so if I look back at the PC version over here, you might find that already OBS has already done that for you. So I'd certainly upgrade to the latest version, because anything on here, if I show you this at the moment, bear in mind there's no audio feed from this. So if I flick across to the PC version, so you can see that. Obviously this is now playing any audio, so if I play a bit of audio through here, let me see if I can get in a bit of music or something, or some sound. Music, I've got any music on here? Nope, no music at all on here. Let's try a little video, and in fact let's try a little one of my other videos on the channel, which is a behavior guru. Let's have a look at this session I did for a service. And you will see if I then and what you'll find is that the sound of that movie, you could with a movie put it in, but it will be playing through the desktop audio. So any sounds on here will be playing through the desktop audio. So that you may find desktop audio is already installed. If not, then I would certainly advise using VB cable, or if you're on the Mac, VB cable, or 16 Black Hole, which is, again, the links are down below. Okay, now in terms of PowerPoint, we've done some number of videos on PowerPoint, and in terms of background, we've lots of options. And just to show the kind of options you've got, if I go back to Ecamm for a second, and we'll flick on Ecamm, it means that obviously if you're doing a live stream and you're doing a presentation, you've got the option to flick between backgrounds. And having a green screen means you've got a great option to move things around. For example, if I start looking here, I've got a bit of a messy screen at the minute, so just move a few things at the way on my screen and disconnect my Zoom because I'm not using it anymore. Teams, exactly the same thing. Once you've got Teams installed, you simply look for your camera section, and I'll show you that too on Teams, and you just simply add a virtual camera and away you go. Right. But once you've got a green screen, and you can move yourself around. With more software, you can actually just have a static image too. So if I look at static images, you can put a static image behind you, or you can actually have a video playing behind you, or even a PowerPoint. So if you just want to do a basic presentation, and if I then show you on this window here, we'll go live in a moment so you can see what I'm doing on camera effects. Let me just show you on Ecamm Live a demo. It's a very similar process to OBS, but we'll do some videos on that. And I've got here in camera effects, I can simply add a background behind me and away that goes, and I can actually drag that background to whatever size I want. Now if I'm actually on a main present screen here, and I put myself back on screen, if I do the camera on here and click over the camera and put me on here, then you'll see that straight away, if I'm not using a transparent background, we've then got the background behind me, and you can quite easily change that if you install a few. So we could actually install another background and put that background behind too. So I'm going to flick between backgrounds to see what I'm saying. So here we've got a lovely chalk background, and if I click off here, I can make me disappear or the background disappear. I can then put in this classroom and so on and make that disappear, and we can move me around. So if I want to be on top of this video, now we can put extra little bits and pieces. So where's my video camera? So look at the video camera. We've got a background on here, and if I then flick to this, where if I do a green screen on here, do transparent green screen, I can then simply change the background behind using the green screen. So it gives you lots of options. And if you wanted to change backgrounds during a main show, then you could have set up as different scenes. For example, I could have scene 1 with this background. Now if you look across where I'm showing scenes, and I just copy that scene across. If I had this scene 2 with this background, this scene with this background, so let me just close that background here, and we can simply flick between the two. And exactly the same could be done on OBS. So we can make it far more efficient. Is you could have different scenes set up, pre-organized, pre-designed, so that you're able to flick between one thing and another. Okay, so we've done audio. Audio again, you'll have audio coming in, audio system, sound system, and so on. All of these here. We've got in here. We've got also, I can add to these and actually have another one here, and this could be the whole sound from my PC going out through black hole, everything through black hole into Zoom. Let's have a quick look at Teams and give you a few little tips about how to use Teams effectively. And obviously I haven't got many people in the meeting. I'm producing a video at the moment about the different gallery views and things that Teams can do. And Teams have seemed to have a resurgence in terms of they put a lot of effort into their software, so it's well worth. I guess it depends on whether your schools have got paid systems or you've actually got Teams. Most of my presentations are done through Zoom, to be fair. Having said that, and a lot of schools ask me if I'd use Teams, which is perfectly reasonable because I've got both available. Although I'm not going to paid version of Teams, I tend to just use the free version. So I'll just stick Teams up here, so you can see that Microsoft Teams is what we're doing at the moment. So flick between Microsoft Teams, and here let's show Teams. And I'll stick Teams up here. Right. So again, once you've got Teams installed, and once you're using Teams, and most people are, click on Meeting Now. We're doing this live. And the only downside with Teams, so at the moment now, if we go to, you can't use filters, so you have to make sure the background filters off. But the first thing we do is we check that our video camera is what we want. So at the moment, I've got the speakers and my camera. If you're using virtual OBS virtual camera, that's when you click. I'm currently using Ecamm Live, so that's my virtual camera. Okay. If I was using internal mic audio devices, I could use VB or black hole. Now, black hole would mean anything that the output was using on Ecamm would be fed into the microphone with this. So black hole would pick everything up that's being used on Teams. Okay, we'll cover that in more depth and give you some demos. Now, the one thing to note about Teams is obviously make sure background filters are off, because that will interfere with your cameras. So you can't have background filters on. If I click on background filter here, it's going to ruin the effect of what I'm trying to achieve. So make sure all the background and blur features are off at this point in time. And then we simply click join meeting. So anything output on your virtual camera will be a virtual output on the meeting. So that flicks through to join a meeting. And I will be doing some demonstrations of meetings. So yes, copy link and do that a bit later. Anyway, you go. Right, now you're going to get this zoom effect because it's actually showing the screen at the minute. So you get this sort of transition. But if you get the idea that obviously you wouldn't have that if you were basically not showing the screen that you were shown. So if I click on here, for example, and click onto this screen, you'll see that this would be exactly, I mean, you can't see Teams at the minute because I'm sharing it, but this would be exactly what they would see on Teams, which is me, and you get a little copy view on the bottom. Okay, so because we've got that little camera set up here, right? So we'll move things around, but this will be your virtual camera. On Teams, you will find that the image is reversed. So I like to show the window where I can see streaming software and the Teams window at the same time. And that allows you to do all the bits within Teams and all the bits within Ecamm. And it works incredibly successfully, should you want to do that. Within Teams, you've got a lot more options available too in terms of doing gallery views and pinning yourself to the top of the board, which I'll show you in. Let's see if I can show that now. So we've actually got a situation. In fact, we're now emailing people in the 2 Erics. We're getting rid of 1 Eric. Got too many Erics on the screen. So if you've got a situation where you're doing Teams and you've got more than one person, I think there's little 3 dots. I'm going to produce a video on little 3 dots. You click on that, and then you can pin your video so that your video stays prominent. And you can do the same with Zoom, and I will be producing a video on doing that, because that means if you're a school teacher presenting to a class, you want to make sure that you're showing everybody around the screen that you're the dominant on the show. And my own daughter's school often show the head teacher on a Friday. But what they tend to do is rather than actually using something like OBS, which would actually have a wide screen, and they're going to set a scene for that, they simply turn their video camera on to show the screen on screen of this person talking. When actually, in fact, all they need to do is to pin her screen or pin her video feed to the top, and that would come through the main feed on the camera. And I'll produce a little video around that to show how that is easily accessible. So, like I say, any questions or any comments or anything you want to know about online presenting, how to get some gear, cheapest chips, and there's lots of links to gear down below, lights, video cameras and software, and it doesn't have to cost you. You can have the whole thing set up and running within a matter of 20, 30 quid to do home schooling. If you want to look at other ways of actually adding overlays, using green screen, storytelling, or even stream to YouTube, feel free to post the comments below and we'll produce videos. So this is really a first live stream, which I said I'd do about an hour, to give a rough overview of what's possible using some of the software out there, to the fact that it just makes the whole online experience for your students that more engaging, especially if you had things flying in from behind and zipping around on the screen. It just gives that little bit of options, so you could actually have things on the screen. So any questions or comments, post them down below with a Q and question for the comments. So you could make it just a little bit more engaging, a little bit more interactive There is other things, online polls. There's a thing called Slido, which I'm going to cover in a later video, which allows you then to have an actual online poll live stream, which you can then have on the window, so people can participate either live in the room for older students. We're not talking primary, we're talking secondary. Allows them to use mobile phones or digital devices to post comments or questions direct to the screen, and they could be answered by a presenter. So it just makes that whole technology, even if you're actually in the classroom, that little bit more engaging. So look out for those videos coming soon on how to use polls and interactivity, because you might as well, if students are access to tablets or laptops in the classroom, you can actually use them to keep them engaged by actually allowing them to put things up directly on the screen, and you can limit what they can put on the screen by using word filters, etc., etc. Just so you don't want too many words or inappropriate comments, but you can insist that all members of the group sign in with their name. Okay, so that's it for this week. We will be doing one next week, so feel free to share this video or share the link to this video and share it with your colleagues. And if you have any questions, like I say, put them down below. But more to the point, if we get a little community going on here, people sharing ideas, and I can put them up online just to support for the next few weeks. In fact, it's 2 weeks until the kids go back to school, but who knows, we might be needing this technology sometime in the future. So I'm sure something will have resonated. I'm not quite sure which, but feel free to share this video, share your comments, add your questions, and look out for more videos on the Net Community web channel, YouTube web channel, YouTube channel on the web. You get the idea. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.